The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway, your host. Got a great guest today from Chi-Town, Chicago, D.J.Paris with Kale Realty Management, and he is the president of marketing, and according to the website, also a fake lumberjack, which I find hilarious. But he is a head recruiter for the company that has gone from 10 realtors, 10 years ago, DJ?
We're up to about just under 800 now.
800 in that time, and that a lot of that falls into your hands there. So excited to talk to you today. Welcome to the show.
Honored to be here. Big fan of what you guys do, and love the idea of having an Icons of Real Estate show, and just honored to have been asked to be part of it. So happy to provide some value, hopefully, to the listeners.
Oh, 100%. So let's start at the beginning. We'll keep it simple now. We'll get overly complicated somewhere in the middle. How did you start? I know a little bit about your background, but tell us how you got to where you are now.
Yeah. So prior to being in real estate, which I got into in 2010 or 11, I was in technology. I was basically a marketing guy in different industries. The industry I was in just prior to real estate was technology. Before that, financial services. I was in beverage before that. So I've been in a bunch of different sort of roles or within the marketing sphere with different industries and brands, but ultimately ended up here at my friend's company. And the reason for that is I was laid off from the previous firm I was at. They were it was very devastating at the time because they were looking to be sold or possibly go public. And I was one of the higher paid people. And so in order to make their balance sheet look better, I had to be like, or maybe I'm just being delusional. Maybe I was a terrible employee. I'm not sure. And they just needed a reason to get rid of me. But either way,
the end result's the same, DJ. What's it matter?
Yeah, well,
think what you have to.
It ultimately, I find that most things in life ultimately work out. And at least that's been my experience. And I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, so my friend said, well, you know quite a bit about marketing, or at least a little bit. Come on over. And he had started a firm. There were just a few agents at the time, and we were going to try to figure out how to attract more of them to join us. So yeah, so I've been here since about 2010 or 11.
Yeah, and I guess it's been a pretty cool ride. I mean, the numbers kind of speak for themselves. I think you said 10 to about 800 agents now. I mean, what's involved before we get into, what you're looking for? What's involved in going from 10 to 800? The short version.
Yeah, the short version is figuring out our niche. And so originally we tried to compete with all of the other firms, and we just couldn't. I mean, quite honestly, we didn't have the systems in place. We didn't have the training and the support and the tool set to really compete with the big boys. And so it put us in a precarious situation. It was like, okay, well, what can we offer? What is our value add? And at the time, it was kind of more out of desperation. It was like, well, maybe we'll just pay out the highest commissions and charge the lowest fees. And maybe that would be enough to attract agents who really didn't need much more than that, who didn't need more training, more support, who weren't newly licensed and just wanted to get a bigger paycheck. And we sort of put all of our hopes and dreams in that model because here in the city at that time, no one had successfully done it. A few companies had tried it and went out of business. But we knew there were other companies that had built what we call this 100% model successfully in other markets. And we thought, well, we should be able to do that here. So we launched into that, and that's how we started. Again, really a no frills experience being a Kale agent back then. Thankfully it's changed now. And we have, I hope our agents would say all the same bells and whistles that really most other firms have, but still keeping that high commission and low fee structure.
Nice. So, you start building the organization. It's been about a decade now. Challenges in housing sub 1,000, right at 1,000, let's say 800 agents versus 10? I mean, you talked about the bells and whistles that you now offer, so hopefully they're all very happy. Are you centrally located, just Chicago? Is it across the United States?
Yeah, we're a local company here. So we're in Chicago. We've been technically the Kale family's been investing in real estate since the 1950s. And prior to that, and even all throughout this time, they were really tailors. So they weren't even in the real estate. The only reason they were in real estate was their tailoring business. They were made uniforms for police, firemen, different post office workers, different professions that need uniforms. And they, in the 1950s, decided to start investing in real estate. They thought that was a good long-term idea. And of course it is. And they needed to create a property management company to manage those tenants and units. And that's what we were. From 1951 to 2006, we were a one-person property management company, no realtors. And then the current owner, Nick, he's the grandson. He became the first realtor in the family. His mom was running the property management business. She was wanting to retire. He was like, great opportunity. I'll take over for my mom. And now we're not just property management. Now we're officially a brokerage because we have one realtor, which was Nick. And then for the next 3 years, he tried to figure out, what we were going to do to grow. And then I came on board in 2010 to help launch that. But yeah, it's to answer your question, I'm sorry, I'm being rambling a bit, but I think it's a good question. And I'd love to tell you that a lot has changed. And things have changed in the sense of what we've been able to provide to agents, but I don't think that's unique. I think most brokerages have needed to kind of up their game along the way just to remain competitive. And so as really much of a pat on the back, I'd like to give myself and the rest of the staff here for helping elevate us over the years. And this we have, and I'm really very proud to be part of Kale Realty. I also think that a lot of it is the same exact thing I'm doing today that when I did when we had just a few agents. I literally have and maybe there's some changes that I should be making to maybe think bigger or change what I'm doing. But I found that putting on the blinders and talking to agents and explaining our value proposition is what I've been doing every day for the last 12 years or so. And it really isn't much different. It's basically contacting agents and seeing if there's a need that they have that isn't currently being met by their existing firm and offering another option.
Is there a sweet spot as far as agent goes? I mean, are you looking for, obviously you want the billion-dollar producer, but probably, they may or may not. I've been on both sides and so I know kind of what people will do when it comes to make a move. But what is your sweet spot? Who are specifically numbers wise are you looking for?
If I could just recruit Ryan Serhant, I would only need one agent.
Right.
So he's not returning my calls quite
I got
yet.
his number, his special bat phone number. No, I'm kidding.
He's, it's funny. We're actually, I realized he hadn't ever been on our podcast, which is called Keeping It Real. And so at one point he was supposed to be, and then we had to reschedule. And then so just as a reminder, I need to get him on our show. But to really answer your question, what we find is that our agents tend to fall in the sort of 2 to 12 deals a year, I don't know, cushion, I guess. People who a lot of part-time agents, and then for full-time agents, people that are more lower producing agents that are looking to grow. I would love to tell you that we only recruit top producing teams and agents, and we certainly try. But in that space, we're really competing with every other player in there. And we have almost 500 real estate companies or brokerages here in Chicago alone. Wow. So trying to compete in that space can be quite challenging. And even though we technically have the highest commissions and the lowest fees, that's not always what a top producer is looking for. They might be looking for other ancillary things that we just might not be able to provide. So while once in a while we do get top producers, and we certainly strive to continue to attract agents of that caliber, we like the smaller agents too. And also what's great from a marketing perspective is those are agents that really aren't getting recruiting calls. We find they're not, no one's really beating down their door. And it's a really great niche for us because we can offer them a tremendous amount of value, and maybe even save them some money too, in their fees. And so that's kind of been our niche, and it's our lane that we know very well. And we're always trying to expand the lane and get people of different sizes, but those are the ones that tend to be the most interested right now in what we're doing.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's a great niche. It's obviously a large part of the real estate market. I mean, there are quite a few, especially when you say like part-time. So many of the people that I interview started as, you've heard that story a million times, right? Well, I started part-time. I dipped my toe in the water, and then my sphere grew, and then the next thing you know, I was doing 20 deals a month, for the rest of my life. It's just magic. Um, so with that being said, lay out for me, I mean, if that's something you can do in this conversation, but lay out for me what the package is, or what it includes, entails, and why is it so much
Yeah.
better than everybody else?
Yeah, well, I don't know that we're so much better than everyone else. As I would love to say that.
No, it's
I
my
don't.
words, not yours.
Well, I'll let you say them, and I will appreciate
Just
that you said
nod.
them. I will nod. What I think, what we learned early on, I mentioned, was this idea of, when we first started and there was just a couple of us, we really
Right.
weren't able to offer a whole lot in terms of training, support, tools, etc. And so we didn't bring on newly licensed agents then. I mean, we certainly tried to avoid that because we knew that they were not going to have a great experience, and that wouldn't work for anybody. We certainly don't want to be hated by
Right.
anybody, and we also want to make sure that what we're doing is in alignment with our values and goals. So anyway, we now have a lot more to offer, but the actual package is exactly the same. I mean, it's gone up a couple of dollars in 12 years, but basically, instead of taking a percentage of an agent's commission, we take a flat fee. So the agent, earns whatever on a sales transaction, whether it's residential, commercial, whatever. We, instead of taking a percentage, just take $350. So no matter how big the commission is, we take $350, and broker gets to keep. And I'm sorry, when I say broker, in Illinois, where we are, everyone is a broker. So I'll say agent instead,
Agent,
because I
right.
think that'll make more sense to you, or I'll say realtor. So all, the agents, realtors, they get to keep everything except $350 on every commission. And then we have, I'm sorry, and then we just have two other fees. We have an annual fee for errors and omissions insurance, $199, basically $200 there, and then a monthly fee, which is $54, which helps keep our training staff paid. We have 3 trainers. We have an 8-member support team. We also have a full suite of tools we provide, so it pays the bills, we'll say.
Right.
So 54 per month, 199 a year, and every time you do a sale, 350. So that's it. Really simple.
Nice. Now, do you offer, and I know you said you kind of did, and we touched on it a little bit. If you can expand on it, great. Other ancillary services that brokers, real estate agents are always looking for, whether it's a
Yeah.
seat, whether it's a phone, whether it's a front end CRM, whatever it might be. Anything in that neck of the woods that's worth mentioning?
Yeah. Yeah, we have all that. So great question. And it's, it's funny. I was just talking to a 100% firm in Southern California, and just a couple hours ago, interviewing them for my show. And I was asking them very similar questions. And so
Right.
it's funny, now I'm on the other side of that. And I'm like, yeah, what do we offer? Oh yeah, that's right.
We have that too.
Yeah, well, we do. And so it's funny. So we have a couple of offices that are open 24/7 for agents. Now, we're not here 24/7, but
Right.
agents can come and use the space, and we have desks, computers, phones, printers, conference rooms, of course, all the stuff you would expect an office to have. And we also have training. I think training's really where we've tried to make a huge difference in, because I think when you're talking about high commission, low fee companies, there is a natural inclination for somebody to think, well, I must not be getting a whole lot with that, because it makes sense. It's cheaper to be an agent here, and maybe we wouldn't have the funds or even the desire to add lots of training or support. And what we learned very early on, was that agents don't care what firm they're at. They expect the highest level of support, training, tools,
Right.
even though logically we can all sort of go, well, we get it. If you work at a 100% firm, maybe you wouldn't have all those things. Well, agents expect all those things. So over time, as we got larger and we started adding 100, 200, 300 agents, by the way, and I'm not saying this to boast, because like, who cares, but we never bought any firms, or we didn't merge with anyone. It's just been one after another, and thankfully a lot of it's referrals from our existing agents these days.
Nice.
But my point is that I'm just, what we try to do is say, okay, yes, we have this fee and commission structure, which is very attractive, but here's the training we have. So for example, we offer one-on-one training to our agents. We also have 4 group trainings a week that are, accessible. Well, we also record those for people that are busy. Maybe they have other jobs. They're not around to do training during 9 to 5 hours. So we record our group trainings. We make them available on demand. We have over 700 of them, I think now. We have an 8-member support team. We have a policy, a very simple one, that every time our phone rings between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday, when it's one of our agents, we have like a special hotline just for our agents, so we know it's them. We answer the phone live every time. So what we try to do is what I've learned over the years is that the commission and the fee structure might be the reason someone joins, because that's very obviously attractive. But the reason they'll stay is because they're being taken care of, because agents will be happy to take a lower commission and pay more for better service and better support. And to think otherwise would be futile, because it just isn't the case. So we need to almost overprove ourselves in the support and training and tool set. And by the way, yes, we have a CRM. We build everyone a front end website. We provide .loop for electronic signature stuff. So yeah, all the same stuff you would get elsewhere.
What about things like, do the agents control, closing? Are they on their own there, or is that something that you guide them in a certain direction? And here's who we use, but of course you can go out and do what you want. How does that work with some of the other like legalese?
Yeah. So our support team and our operations team is there to guide agents through every single one of those transactions. And we also have a knowledge base that we built. And that was maybe one of the, I've done only a few smart things, I think, in my life. And that might have been one of the smartest, because I thought, if it's, a lot of times we know real estate can be really 24/7 in a lot of ways. And I don't want to be responding to people 24/7. And certainly we're just not available at 3 a.m, And so we thought, well, what if we created an on-demand support portal? And this is not a new thing. It's like most tech providers have this. A lot of just companies have these, support portals, but we were just a little mom and pop company. And we thought we better build one, because I don't know that, if somebody does have a need at 2 a.m. and we're obviously not available, and someone wants to write a contract, they should be able to, but they need to know how. So we made a video for that. I think we started with something as simple as that. And I think we have 300 or 400 articles now with it. So that was one of the smarter things we did, to really, because it was something I heard a lot in the marketplace, was that, oh, when I need support, at other firms, thankfully, I don't thankfully hear that from our agents, although maybe that's happened, but I would hear that from other agents and other firms saying, the biggest thing I really want, yes, the fees and commissions, that's important, but I really need you to be there when I need help. So yes, we do offer that. Now, if somebody needs what they call like transaction coordinator services, that we sort of don't and can't do, it would just be too difficult. We don't have the staff for that. So in that scenario, we have companies we recommend, and for like $300 to pay a company to handle all of that, I think is absolutely worth it, no matter what firm you're at, unless you have a firm that does it all for you.
Yeah, exactly. So walk me through real quick, DJ. What's it like on the recruiting? I've been in recruiting before, so I know some of the traversing that you have to do. A lot of phone work from my memory. Of course, I'm Methuselah. I'm ancient now, but a lot of phone work, and things have changed so much in technology and how we communicate with each other. And you said you get a lot of your agents through referrals through current agents, which that hasn't changed since the beginning of time. But how do you go about finding those nuggets and finding those individuals out there?
Yeah, so we do a lot of things. And this is the fun part of the job, I think, because it allows me to be creative, and working at a smaller firm, I have a lot of autonomy. And if I have an idea, I'm lucky enough to work for someone that allows me to just do it and hope for the best, which
just do it.
Sometimes is good and sometimes isn't. But I've made some horrendous mistakes. But that's the cool thing too, is that I've learned that really successful people fail a lot. I'm like, well, good, I must be on the right track, because but to answer your question, I find that what we do is I used to make years and years ago all the outbound calls. I thankfully don't do that anymore, and we have a team in place to do that. So we actually hire callers from, it's funny, and we hire them from the Philippines. We've had such a great experience. We have 6 full-time people from the Philippines to help us. I manage that team. Several of them make calls every single day to agents, asking them, say, hey, if you're ever thinking about another option, we'd love to talk to you. And we usually have a reason for reaching out. So we're big fans of marketing with purpose. And so we don't want to call somebody. We've made cold calls before, of course we have, for years and years, and we realized 95% of these people don't want these calls. And so we thought, well, what if we had a good reason to call them? And we thought, well, the best reason, the fact that real estate data or real estate realtor data is public mostly, we can find examples, or we can find instances or triggers to pick up the phone and contact somebody. So maybe we know when any realtor in the industry here in Chicago does their very first sales transaction, that's an important reason to pick up the phone and go, hey, I'm DJ at Kale. I just noticed you did your first sale. That's amazing. And then I don't even pitch them on Kale Realty to be pitched and celebrated in the calls, or at least that doesn't fit my personality. So instead I just go, hey, just want to let you know, amazing job. Keep up the great work. And, if you ever need any advice or want some help, I'm always happy to chat with you. And doing those sort of outbound, if somebody doubles their production in a year, we call them. Somebody more than doubles their production in a year, we call them. These are reasons to reach out. Somebody hits a certain number of deals, we call them. We have these triggers set up in our system to then have our callers reach out. Yeah.
Is that an avatar system you use out of the Philippines? Are you familiar?
I'm not sure what avatar is.
Okay. But we'll talk about that maybe after the call. I'll tell you about it, because it might be something. Yeah, and it may be what you're using. You maybe just hasn't been called that. But I'll talk to you about that afterwards. But
yeah, that's great. The other thing I'll mention just real quickly is, and I didn't do it for this reason, but it was particularly helpful. I started a podcast. If you're watching this, you'll see my name on here. It says Keeping It Real Podcast. The original idea of that, and very similar to what you guys do with Icons of Real Estate, was to sort of get the stories of top producers, the how'd you do that, kind of conversations. And since we didn't have a lot of top producers, I only had a few people I could ask at any given time. And I thought, well, there's like 1.6 million realtors out there now. So I started a podcast. But I also, it was important for me not to promote our company when I started, because I didn't want to interview other people and then go, oh, I see he's using this as like a recruiting tool for himself, and he's kind of leveraging my success to help him. And I thought that doesn't leave a good taste in a lot of people's mouths. So I made a rule to never mention Kale. And I actually did today on our, we've done about 400 episodes, but I finally mentioned it today because it was relevant to our conversation. But I've really stayed away from that. But just with doing the shows as consistently as I have for the last 5 years, a lot of people here locally, I mean, it's a national show, but a lot of people locally know about me because of that, because it's become, somewhat popular. So that's also been a great recruiting tool, even though I don't explicitly recruit on it. I think people go, wow, this provides a lot of value. Maybe I should check out Kale Realty.
Yeah, that's very, very powerful. And I get what you say about kind of keeping keeping the premise for your show being about realtors and who your target market is, and not being just about, it's kind of like us, Ardor, right? They sponsor the show. It's their show, basically. We could sit here and talk marketing all day long, but that's one dimensional, right? I mean, facts tell, stories sell. People really want to hear your story, and I think that's how you connect with people. And I think your story's very cool. I think what you guys are doing there is groundbreaking, in the sense, I come from a broker background, but in financial services, which I think you're familiar with as well.
Sure.
I was packaging REITs back in 1992, and calling people, basically selling them. And so I get where you're coming from on that. And I think it's important, though. I think people need to have that option that you give them, right? I mean, there's a big enough market for it, and it sounds like you guys are doing a great job. If someone needed to get in touch with you, DJ, how could they get in touch with you? And best time, not 3 a.m, to contact you?
Well, you can contact me at 3 a.m. I won't answer,
Just
but
not
I'll
gonna
call you
answer.
back. So yeah, if you're a realtor in the Chicagoland area, by the way, half of our realtors live in the suburbs. So whether you're suburban or city dwelling, we'd love the opportunity just to tell you what we do. And I promise we will not put the hard sell on you because I don't like to be sold on anything.
Right.
But I just like to have authentic conversations when, I like have this natural avoidance to salespeople. I'm like, just leave me alone. Just give me the facts. So we're more about that. But you can visit joinkale.com. That's our recruiting site for brokers, or you could always, email me or call me. My email is dj@kalerealty.com. And I, you know what, on the website, all the phone numbers on there and all that
Right.
stuff too. So just,
Awesome.
there's a million ways to find me. Also, if you're a podcast person, which obviously you're listening to this show, would love to have you check out Keeping It Real. So just keepingitrealpod.com is a place where you can access all 400 plus of our episodes and hopefully get some value there too.
Fantastic, DJ. I'm going to give you the last word. I'd like to give everybody an opportunity to say whatever I didn't bring up or we didn't discuss. You want to talk about your favorite, dog kennel that you get dogs from? That's fine too. Whatever you want to get off your chest here at the end.
Well, my I do have a dog. She's right underneath my desk right now. She's a 14.5 pound chihuahua. Sorry, 14.5 year old chihuahua who's about 6 pounds. And she is she
I'd
comes to
say a
work with me
14
every
pound
single day.
Chihuahua would be rough.
That would be a big girl, and I'd be
That'd be
getting
a
yelled
big
at by
dog,
my
yeah.
veterinarian if I let her get to that size. But what I would say is just one thing that I've learned from interviewing hundreds of top producers across the country is, the good news is the discipline and strategies to become a top producer are very well laid out by many different people, and you can really learn from some of these avatars in the industry. And listening to shows like Icons of Real Estate or mine is something that can always feed you with at least one or two good ideas. So to me, my only advice out there to anyone listening is continue to feed your mind with something helpful, and do it as much as possible, and put the blinders on and put your head down and just realize it's all just a lot of hard work. And if you can do the hard work, you'll probably have the success that other people have had.
Good stuff, man. Great advice. Hey, DJ, I appreciate having you on the show. I've really enjoyed it. I look forward to talking to you again. We'll maybe catch up sometime and see where you are down the road.
Would be happy to, Tim. Thanks for having me on, and I will make sure to make sure that our audience is aware of Icons of Real Estate, and hopefully share some listeners with you.
Fantastic. Have a great week.
Thank you so much.